Sojala also has done the study of detrimental implications of micromanagement, wherein they have tried to find out the micromanagement aspect of 186 non-teaching staff of public school in Nigeria. Limon and Delhi have also done the development and initial validation. Sojala also has done the micromanagement for school principal in 2021, wherein he tried to develop a valid and reliable measurement tool to measure the level of school management principle. Then Sulpi and Upadhyay in 2019, he has done construction and validation of micromanagement questionnaire. The study has explored 4 factors of micromanagement leadership. However, the study was only limited to exploratory factor analysis, and there was no reliability and validity tests being done. Castillo 2018 Micromanagement Behavior, a qualitative empirical phenomenological study, have tried to find out the experiences of the employees towards the micromanager leader. Purnima and Kavita in 2017, a study on the effects of micromanagement towards BPO employees, have tried to find out the influence of micromanagement on BPO employees. So, from the review of literature, citing the recent literature also, the research gap which I have brought up here, that traces of research work was done on micromanagement leadership, that too with empirical evidence. Components of micromanagement were not much validated in the existing literature. Very less research has been conducted on micromanagement leadership and employee performance. And they have not been done much in the teaching staff of higher education institutions. It was done in other industries, be it banking, IT, schools, or hospitals. So these are the research questions. What are the conditions under which micromanagement is used in higher educational institutions, and how micromanagement leadership is affecting the performance of teaching staff of higher educational institutions. So based on the research question, 3 research objectives was framed. First one, to identify the components of micromanagement leadership, to determine the reasons behind the usage of micromanagement leadership by supervisor, head, HOIs of higher educational institutions, and to examine the influence of micromanagement leadership on performance of teaching staff. So this is a conceptual model wherein my dependent variable is micromanagement leadership, and the second one is an adapted scale from the various literature, and employee performance is an independent variable which has been adopted from the system. So micromanagement leadership, there are 6 sub-constructs: delay in process, delegation, decision making, close supervision, meeting and reporting, and autonomy. And employee performance, the 3 factors have been taken from UGC PBS 2016, teaching and students learning, research, punctuality, and professional ethics. So these are various sub-constructs which I have taken from the literature. So I'm just moving on to this slide, wherein I have taken the sub-constructs from which of the literature. So each of these sub-constructs has been mentioned. So now coming to research hypothesis, these are the 4 main hypotheses. Hypothesis H1, there exists a significant difference of opinion on overall micromanagement leadership and its sub-constructs based on demographic variables. Hypothesis H2, there exists a significant difference of opinion on overall employees' performance and its sub-construct based on demographic variables. Hypothesis H3, there exists a significant relationship between micromanagement leadership and employee performance. And hypothesis H4, micromanagement leadership influences employees' performance in higher education institutions. Coming to research methodology, the types of research which was used in my research was descriptive, exploratory, and causal. Descriptive because it has tried to describe the phenomenon of micromanagement leadership. Exploratory because it has explored the components of micromanagement and has also explored how the demographic variable influences micromanagement leadership and performance. Causal because it's trying to find the cause and effect relationship between micromanagement leadership and performance. It's a mixed research because we have used because I have used both quantitative as well as qualitative research. Quantitative research was used from the teaching staff of higher educational institutions, and qualitative was taken from the head supervisor, dean, HOIs of higher educational institutions. The statistical tools which were used were for coding, for cleaning MS Excel, for simple percentage, exploratory factor analysis, descriptive statistics, t-test, ANOVA, SPSS was used, and for SEM, CFA and path model, Smart PLS was used. For qualitative, QDA minor software was used. Coming to the population were the teaching staffs of higher educational institutions. The sampling design which was used was stratified random sampling. An exhaustive list of university was prepared from AISHA, All India Survey of Higher Education 2019-20 report, where the 5 categories of university was prepared: Central University, State Public, State Private, Deemed to be, and Institute of National Importance. From each of the categories of university, using simple random sampling of lottery method, 4 universities were selected from each of the categories. And then using snowball sampling, the respondent from each of the university, around 25 from each of the respective university was collected. So altogether, we had made the total sample size as 500, keeping in mind that there might be some invalid responses. The response what we got was 430, which was around 86% of the total estimated sample size. Data collection, primarily it was primary data, which was collected quantitative self-administered questionnaire, and it was collected mainly by visiting the university, and some of them was collected through Google Form of teaching staff of higher educational institutions. Qualitative was conducted by open-ended questions of interview through Zoom meeting and face-to-face also from HODs, HOIs, deans, and supervisors. So this was about the research methodology. Talking on the percentage of the respondent profile, the gender one, male and female, 48.8 and female 51.2. Age, the category created was 25 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50 and more than 50. And the highest percentage was coming under the category of 31 to 40 years with 43%. Qualification, post-graduation, PhD, MS and postdoc. The highest percentage was in the PhD with 51.0%. Designation was assistant professor, associate professor, and professor. And the highest percentage was in the category of assistant professor with 66.7%. Total experience was less than 5 years, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, and more than 20. And the highest percentage was in the category of 5 to 10 years. Academic experience was 2 to 5 years, 5 to 7, 7 to 10, and more than 10 years. And the highest percentage was in the category of 2 to 5 years. Current organizational experience less than 2 years, 5 years, 5 to 7, 7 to 10, and more than 10. And highest percentage was in the category of 2 to 5 with 43.7. Then finally worked under more than 2 courses, yes and no, and 93% had voted for yes. Exploratory factor analysis was done for the micromanagement leadership and its subconstruct using rotated component matrix. To check the sample adequacy, both the test AMO and Bartlett's test, AMO value was more than 0.5 and Bartlett's test was significant value was less than 0.05, and both of them had met the criteria wherein the sample was adequate. 18 items of micromanagement leadership all were reflected into the 5 components because all the factor loading value was more than 0.5. So there were 5 components. First component had 6 items, second component had 3, third had 3, fourth had 3, and fifth also had 3. Communalities values were all more than 0.5. Eigenvalue was greater than 1 for each of the components, and total cumulative variance was 67.66. So descriptive statistics, the highest contribution was coming from the close supervision, followed by delegation and decision making, delaying meeting and reporting, delaying process, and autonomy. For delegation and decision making, the highest contribution was from lives to take decision by himself or herself. For delayed process, the highest contribution was coming on focusing on the procedural details. For meeting and reporting, the highest contribution was coming towards meeting before the actual meeting to make sure everything happens in a structured way. For close supervision, the highest contribution was coming from getting involved with work of their subordinates. And for autonomy, the highest contribution was coming from lesser scope for subordinates to demonstrate their potential. Then independent sample t-test was done in order to find out the difference of opinion on micromanagement leadership and its subconstruct based on gender. And the significant value for each of these subconstructs as well as micromanagement was more than 0.05, which was not significant. Thereafter, alternate hypothesis was rejected and null hypothesis was accepted, stating that there is no difference of opinion on the micromanagement leadership and a subconstruct based on gender. ANOVA test was done to find out the difference of opinion on overall micromanagement leadership and a subconstruct based on the categories of age, designation, qualification, total experience, current organizational experience, and academic experience. The following tests were done. First of all, the test of homogeneity through Levin's test was conducted and to find out whether it is significant or not. If p-value was more than 0.05, it means that the data assumed equal variance. And p-value was less than 0.05, it meant that the data did not assume equal variance. If p-value was less than 0.05, the Welch test was to be referred to find out the significance value. If it was not significant, then null hypothesis was accepted and alternate was rejected. On the other hand, if it was significant, then the Ames-Howell value of post-hoc test was referred to find out the comparison of the means. Similar to that, if p-value was less than greater than 0.05, then the F-value of ANOVA test was referred. If it was not significant, null hypothesis was accepted and alternate was rejected. On the other hand, if it was significant, then the Tukey HSD value of post-hoc test was referred in order to find out the comparison of the means. So this way, the ANOVA test was conducted for all the micromanagement and its subconstruct. These are the summary of the alternate hypothesis accepted and rejected. So I'm just skipping this. Same way, exploratory factor analysis was done for employees' performance and its subconstruct, and sample adequacy test was checked. There were 3 components. All of their factor loading was more than 0.5, eigenvalue was meeting the criteria, and total cumulative variance was 61.75. Descriptive statistics also, the maximum contribution was coming from research, and for teaching learning, the highest contribution was coming from participation or conduction in national conference and more involvement in career development. For research, it was coming towards the better guidance of projects, and for punctuality, fulfillment of assigned duties and responsibilities on time. Thereafter, confirmatory factor analysis was done using SEM with smart cases, wherein the punctuality factor was removed because it would not meet the reliability and validity. Here, in order to check the reliability and validity, internal consistency, convergent validity, and discriminant validity test was done. For internal consistency, Cronbach alpha, composite reliability, and RHO value should be more than 0.70. And as we can see from the table that the values were greater than 0.70, hence we can conclude that internal consistency was maintained. For convergent validity, average variance extracted was more than 0.50, and hence there was no issue of convergent validity. For discriminant validity, Fron and Larker was done, and the diagonal represented over here are the square root of AB, which should be more than their corresponding lateral force and columns. And as we can see that the highlighted ones are more than the corresponding rows and columns. Hence, we can conclude that there was no discriminant validity issue in the model. Not only this, we checked the discriminant validity with HTMT also, wherein the all values should be less than 0.9. And since the criteria was met, we have said that discriminant validity has been established. In order to check for multicollinearity issue, the VIF value should be less than 3. And since it was meeting the criteria, there was no issue of multicollinearity. So these are again the summary of hypothesis of t-test and ANOVA of employees' performance and the subconstruct. Same procedure was followed for employees' performance and its subconstruct for t-test and ANOVA. Then this is the structural model for the confirmatory factor analysis. The p-value is calculated at 5% level of significance and it is above the critical value of 1.96. So here we can see that the autonomy on performance is minus post supervision on performance is 0.168, delay in process is minus 0.159, delegation and decision making was 0.38, and meeting and reporting was 0.119. We can see that the autonomy and delay in process were having a negative influence on the performance, whereas close supervision, delegation and decision making and reporting had a significant positive influence on performance. And in order to check the coefficient of termination and predictive relevance, R-square value and Q-square value was referred to. According to Chin 1998, R-square value, if it is more than 0.19, it is considered to be a good predictor. And we can see that since the value is 0.233, it was considered as a good predictor of employee performance. For predictive relevance, the Q-square value should be more than 0, and it was here 0.197. So we can say that the build model is having predictive relevance. Again, we did the same on sub-constructs of micromanagement leadership on teaching and students learning and research. Find out there which one is having more influence. The t-value was calculated at 5% level of significance and it was above the critical value 1.96. So as for the result, we can see that whether it is the autonomy, close supervision, delaying process, delegation in decision making, meeting and reporting, they were not having much influence on research parameter because they were mostly not significant. Whereas on teaching and learning, it was having an influence with minus 0.299, close supervision having 0.166, delaying process having 0.239, delegation and decision making having 0.197, and meeting and reporting having 0.208. Similar to for that, path coefficient R-square and Q-square was tested. And we can see that for the research, the value is coming to 0.18, which is mean it is a weak predictor for research. However, it was a good predictor for teaching and students learning. The Q-square value for both research as well as teaching and students learning were meeting the criteria of having value greater than 0, which meant to say that the build model was having predictive relevance. Thereafter, qualitative data analysis was done for capturing the interview of HOD, deans, directors, supervisors to explore their perspective on micromanagement leadership. For this, thematic analysis was done using QDA minor light software. And the sample size was 11 because it was meeting the minimum requirement given by Clinical Test 2022, wherein it was mentioned that the range could be from 9 to 50. So interview was conducted on open-ended questions and the following questions were asked. So do you feel micromanagement leadership is essential under any condition? Under what condition it becomes useful? And what is your opinion? Whether micromanagement is happening, can it influence the performance of teaching staff, be it in terms of research or teaching and learning? So the accepted process of thematic analysis was carried out by 6 steps, wherein the reading of the transcripts was done, systematic coding of the data was done, then development of preliminary themes, revision of those themes, final set of themes, and final written report. These are results of the qualitative analysis, wherein the 5 themes was developed with a revised course and percentage of group. So talking on the first theme is micromanagement is essential or not and how to avoid it. The highest response came in favor of when micromanagement is essential. Most of the mention that it's not essential, however, it said that it becomes essential whenever some situation or the need of the hour demands. When the task is like that, when the deadline of the project has to be met, or when there is a lack of trust. Some of them said it is not essential under any condition as controlling and dictating becomes irrelevant. A few of the participants said that it is not required in the academic sector because academicians are considered to be expert and knowledgeable. They should be given the autonomy to do the work. These view of what should be done to avoid micromanagement from their employees, and they should delegate the work to their employees. Second thing which came us was scenarios under which micromanagement will be helpful. So this thing came from the analysis under which micromanagement can be helpful. If research showed that micromanagement can be done for new joiners and junior employees, and if the institution is new and the employees are young. And also the second sub-theme which was asked in this theme was whether how long it should be practiced. So they said that at initial stage when the requirement is there, it should be micromanaged. However, for a longer run, it should not be done, and they can be guided and they can be less important. The third sub-theme was on micromanagement on senior employees. So they said that the senior employees are well versed, they are more qualified, they do not need micromanagement, and if they are being done, they might be off. Then third sub-theme was their micromanagement on performance of teaching. The third theme which came from to know how can micromanagement influence the performance of teachers. So the response which came back, it can lead to better performance if employees are not proactive or serious towards their work. And during that time, micromanagement may become helpful and help the employees to perform better. It may also say that sometimes the experience of micromanagement leaders passes on to their employees. At that time, it may become useful, but it may not lead to better employees if the employees are experienced and they want autonomy. Then what are the implications of micromanagement? This was the fourth theme from the analysis. And fourth which came was negative as well as positive. Negative said that it can have a detrimental impact on the employees as it can lead to resentment and dissatisfaction. And positive aspect which was coming in the paper like that employees can get the experience of leaders under whom they are working, and even the leaders come to know their employees well if they are micromanaged. What makes supervisor was the fifth theme which came from the analysis. Like what makes a supervisor to micromanage, and they said it depends on the attitude of the worker, skill of the workers, knowledge level and intelligence level. Micromanagement is a totally situational concept and it should be only done when the situation and the need of the hour demands. They also said when organization is new, when employees are new, when they cannot do the work by themselves, and when there is also sometimes organizational culture also plays a role when they have to do the micromanagement. So these were all the analysis which came from the qualitative. Coming to the theoretical implications, the factors were further tested using exploratory factor analysis and confirmatory factor analysis, and they were all found to be valid and reliable. Sulpi and Upadhyay have stopped the study till exploratory factor analysis, and this study therefore contributed to the existing theory by validating the scheme for micromanagement leadership, which can be used for future research. The influence of micromanagement leadership on performance was also tested through this higher education institution. Earlier it was done, however, in context of higher educational institution, it was not done. There was no opinion based on gender towards micromanagement, unlike the case for other leadership styles, especially transformational leadership. There was a difference in opinion based on age, similar to the study which was found in the case of transformational leadership, transactional leadership, and Lazarus. This study also showed that there is a difference in opinion based on experience of teaching, and it is similar to the study found for the other leadership styles, especially transformation. There was no difference in opinion found on the performance of teaching staff based on gender and other demographic variables, and similar results were also observed by Rajesh and practical implication. Various factors of micromanagement leadership are explored through this study: the delaying process, delegation and decision making, meeting and reporting, close supervision and autonomy. It was found out that there is no difference in of qualification. The result revealed that whether the faculty is undergraduate, postgraduate, PhD, or postdoc, they all have the same perception towards the micromanagement. It was also deduced from the result that assistant professor, associate professor, and professor have a difference of opinion in relation to meeting and reporting subconstruct. It was also understood from the result that employees with over 20 years of experience requires less monitoring as compared to the other categories of employees. This is because they are more experienced and they don't like much of supervision and guidance at every stage of work. The relationship between employees' performance and various demographic variables had no difference in opinion towards any construct, showing that practically everyone feels the impact of micromanagement on performance at the same manner. So, limitations of the study. This study did not include the administrative staffs of higher educational institutions. The study was conducted using self-administered questionnaire. Also, the job performance was evaluated using self-evaluation, which might have a certain bias, and this could be overcome by the future researcher by collecting performance-related data from other stakeholders. The study is cross-sectional in understanding the influence of micromanagement leadership on performance. Validation of the semi-structured interview was not done. The study was confined to academic institutions in Delhi NCT and not to other tier 2, tier 3 cities, hence the results may vary. So the direction for future research, since the study did a qualitative analysis to know the perspective of leaders as to what conditions they feel it necessary to micromanagement. This analysis can be done in questionnaire basis on a large sample size in the future to know what are the causes of micromanagement from the supervisor perspective and how does it influence performance of supervisor. This study did not take into consideration mediating or moderating variables. It chose some of the factors like personality, organizational structure, type of organization, HR policy, age of the organization can also be taken as mediating or moderating variables. The research could be extended to non-teaching fraternity as well and with defined measures, and also the comparison analysis can be done on some of the categories like government, non-teaching, teaching, old, new institutions. The study can be extended and can be empirically tested in other sectors as well. The study can be also taken in other geographical regions, and also this did not cover any comparisons of public, private, or government institutions. So these are the publications and conference detail. I have published 2 papers of scopus. First one was Micromanagement and Employer's Perspective on International Journal of Scientific and Technology Research. The second paper was also scopus, which was Emotional Intelligence as Moderator between Micromanagement Leadership and Employee Performance, which got published in Prabandhan, Indian Journal of Management. 2 conferences paper I have presented. Titled Emotional Intelligence as a Moderator between Micromanagement Leadership and Employee Performance in NORCAT University of Gurgaon, and also one of the paper, Impact on Leadership Styles on Performance of Faculty Members of Higher Education Institutions. So there were 2 papers, and 2 more papers are in the limelight, which we are working on and will be very much published. So with this, I would am grateful to ICFAI University Jharkhand for providing me the opportunity for my PhD work. I am thankful to the expert examiners for their valuable suggestions, and which made my thesis more enriching and more insightful. I am thankful to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Raman Kumar Jha, former Vice Chancellor, Professor Arvind Rao, Dr. Barik, Registrar Professor Arvind Kumar, Dr. Satyendra Kishore, Dr. Subir Chattopadhyay, and Dr. Bali for their support and suggestions in half-yearly progress reviews and regular reviews with their critical evaluations. I'd also like to thank Dr. Namarata ma'am who have been coordinating with me since the beginning of the research. I wish to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to my research supervisor, Dr. N. Rajkumar, for his constant motivation and encouragement. His patience and guidance have helped me to bring quality work in my research. I would like to thank all teaching members of ICFAI University Jharkhand branch for his support during work and progress presentation. I would also like to thank all the non-teaching staffs of ICFAI University Jharkhand for their direct and indirect support. I would like to thank my dean and my colleagues of School of Business, Galgotia University, for supporting me in every possible way and allowing me to execute my PhD work. Last but not least, I would like to especially thank my family members for their constant encouragement and motivation. Their journey has helped me to reach this journey with full enthusiasm and motivation. With this, I end my presentation and thank you.
Thank you very much, Namarata. Now I request Professor Srivastav, Javier Srivastav, to share his views and.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ramna Bhattacharya. I think I'm trying to open my video also just to so that you can see. Yeah. Thank you, Namrata, for making a very good presentation, and that too in within the time frame. I mean, 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes. I think I had given certain comments on your thesis, and the model that you have made. Basically, I had a question on that. The factors that you are talking about, these are actually components of micromanagement leadership. Am I right?
Yes, sir, and same care has been taken and it was incorporated in the.
Now, my other question is that these are not the factors which drive leaders to go for micromanagement, right? These are the components. I mean, being a micromanager leader, I would get into the detail, try to delay the process, interfere, okay, try to take decision myself. So these are actually the characteristics of a micromanagement leadership that you have identified. But what drive an organization or sorry, a leader to go for micromanagement? So that you have not talked about. Maybe you have mentioned that in your limitation, depending upon the structure, culture, and the things that managers or leaders go for micromanagement. Right?
Yes.
What is your comment on that? And why you did not go for that?
I will tell like that. Whatever first of all you had mentioned, sir, that the components I have considered that. And talking on the factors of very good, and it was as I mentioned that very but happening this with empirical evidence. So earlier also like whenever I started with, so if I would have taken the other factors, it would have been very exhaustive. So I started with components initially in order to find out the components of micromanagement and how they are influencing the performance. So that of course would be the reasons we are working on it. So find out the factors of what they are.
Because if you look at your structural equation model, you have basically identified two variables, one independent variable and one dependent variable. That's all. Micromanagement and implied performance, right?
Yes, sir. Micromanagement with their 5 subfunctions and performance having 3 subfunctions, and thereafter again teaching, learning, and research.
Okay. Is there anything that actually intervenes between the two, which we have not studied? Of course, we have mentioned it. Do you have any idea that what could be other factors which might affect performance in addition to micromanagement leadership?
So, like organizational culture, trust of the employees, attitude, personality. So, there are various factors which can be taken into consideration.
Because ultimately, your study becomes a thesis of having only two variables: micromanagement leadership and employee performance. Right?
Yes, but this topic itself was such and so we received initially I had taken the personality component, but there in the initial process novels, we should focus only on these two elements, and that's how we proceeded for
have you collected data from leaders also who go for such kind of micromanagement?
analysis, wherein I have collected the interviews of HODs, dean directors, and also I have done the qualitative analysis.
Did you find that there is a difference between the kind of leaders these academic institutions have, that in terms of their traits, their characteristics, some of them might not go for this kind of say behavior. Some of them are more inclined to go for micromanagement of leadership, micromanagement, right? Leader. So, do you have any idea? I mean, what kind of leaders are more inclined to management of behavior of the employees? Ultimately,
Once what I can see was that they encourage micromanagement. However, they feel that whenever the situation is like that, or when the organization culture is there, deadline of the work is there, then sometimes it may become beneficial and helpful. And that is for young inexperienced joining. So that's what the response what I got from qualitative analysis are also matching up my quantitative results, which I got results from the
no, first, see what you did. First, you conducted a quantitative study, and then you went for a qualitative study, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
First, a quantitative study, and then you went for a qualitative study. Correct?
Yes.
It would have been good if you have gone for a qualitative study to identify those themes which are important for micromanagement, affecting employee performance, and then collecting data on those variables using say a quantitative survey, right? That so that it has supplemented that, yes, these are the things that has come out in my qualitative study, which I want to test further using a quantitative study, right? Okay, I think I have also given some other suggestions. Please take care of that. I think the report, the comments that external examiners give is given to you to go through, and so that you can make certain improvements and suggestions. I'm happy that you have published at least one good paper in IM journal, and I would suggest not to publish in dubious or those journals which are predated. Please publish good papers in you to improve and work as a good researcher in addition to teacher. Thank you. So this is from my side. I hand over to Mr. Ramna Bhattacharya. Okay. Bye.
Very good, sir. Very good suggestion. Now,
Yeah, now, yeah, you can request to the other examiner, please.
yes, I request Professor that's been said to categories.
So, Namarata, you have done a good work, and your presentation was fantastic.
Thank you.
Now I wish to understand. Are you feeling comfortable?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Now I wish to understand that why at all you have chosen this topic. What was the reason? Yes.
Yes, so the motivation came from because wherever I was working earlier to it, there I saw that the leaders were micromanaging, and they were always into minutely observing, holding too many meetings, and dictating and supervising in every small work. And that's how the concept came into it. And when I researched and I saw that there is an emerging topic and it needs a lot of attention, because though there are other leadership styles which have been researched much. And I found that the motivation came in from there, and I also found that this is one of the emerging topics in the field.
Okay. Now, is it somewhat closer to the Fiedler's contingency model?
So we refer to, yes, somewhere it is closely, and we try to relate it with also the situational leadership model where Fiedler's contingency model was coming closer to it, and wherein they are telling and selling, wherein the leaders who are unable to supervise, or people whom they find out that they need supervision, they micromanage. Somewhere it was linked in that line.
Because Fiedler's model, can you explain that?
The Fiedler's contingency model is these preferred co-worker, and
No, that is the building block.
yes, sir.
LPC is a building block.
Yes.
I'm just simply asking. I'm not going to have your classroom questioning about that. I just wish to have your opinion. What at all? How do you understand, comprehend that?
Yes.
मैं आपसे जानना चाहता हूँ कि उस मॉडल में है क्या है?
So उस model में like we were telling that they accordingly, the leaders accordingly act depending on their subordinates. So if the subordinates are unable, or they are not willing to do the work, or they are not competent to do the work, there they might land up in dictating and controlling. And if they find that they are capable enough, then they are not doing that. So micromanagement is one of the parameters wherein the employees are not competent and they are not.
Acha, is it somewhat getting linked to the Hawthorne effect?
Somewhere kind of like
Hawthorne effect से क्या इसका कहीं रिश्ता जोड़ रहा है? If you feel confident, then only you respond. Otherwise, you may skip the question. कोई ऐसी बात नहीं बेटा, ऐसी कोई बात नहीं. हर चीज हमको हर वक्त याद नहीं रहती. ऐसी कोई बात.
So like what I have reviewed from the literature, that it was earlier considered to elements theory, leader member exchange theory, and situational theory also. But thereafter, now the latest and the recent studies are putting it as a style of leadership. So earlier it was.
Still there is. It is not settled whether it is a theory or a style.
Recent are putting it as style.
How do you understand? क्योंकि आपने दोनों का इस्तेमाल किया है, आपने थ्योरी भी बोला है और आपने स्टाइल भी बोला है, तो दोनों तो एक चीज नहीं हो सकती.
So we have taken it as a style, considering the recent.
आपने स्टाइल की थ्योरी भी बोला है.
It was considered earlier with the theory. It was compared with the theory.
आपके लिटरेचर में लिखा हुआ है.
Yes.
अच्छा. Now you say that you have gone in for this work because there was no work. आप रैशनल खोलिए, you come to that slide. मोटिवेशन जहाँ पर आप करते हैं.
Research gap.
रिसर्च अब यार रिसर्च गैप है, मोटिवेशन है, कुछ था. Traces was hardly found. Components not much validated. Very less research done. Very less research done.
Yes.
I just ask you a simple question. If suppose someone is not sitting on that chair, so does that mean that this chair is a good chair to sit? Does that only means? आप वही किया, किसी ने इस पर किया नहीं, किसी ने इस पर किया नहीं, इसलिए हमने कर.
So the topic was also like.
Am I able to communicate or not? I wish to understand what was the irritant that prompted you to go in this direction. Irritant क्या था? लिटरेचर पे इरिटेंट होता है. आपका व्यक्तिगत इरिटेंट हो सकता है, स्वाभाविक है रिसर्चर, लेकिन रिसर्चर को तटस्थ भाव से he or she has to adopt a neutral stance. क्यों? क्योंकि रिसर्च जो पोल्यूटेड हो जाएगी, बायस्ड हो जाएगी, तो फिर एक प्रकार से हम अपनी कहानी लिखने लग जाएंगे. Research has to have a neutral stance. That is why you are not hypothesis. आप क्यों लिखते हैं? इसलिए तो लिखते हैं आप. Why do you write a hypothesis? आप बताइए क्यों लिखते हैं hypothesis?
There might be results we are with the assumptions.
Because that is the only window you get to express your own thoughts. बाकी किसी जगह में भी पूरी रिसर्च एक्टिविटी में यू आर नॉट सपोज टू गिव योर ओन पर्सनल थॉट्स. हाँ, यहां भी जो है हाइपोथेसिस भी जो आप एक्सप्रेस कर रहे हैं वो भी देखिए कितने न्यूट्रली एक्सप्रेस की जा रही है. क्यों? क्योंकि आपने ये भी कहा है कि ऐसा हो सकता है और ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. यू हैव नॉट टेकन अ स्टैंड. न्यूट्रल हाइपोथेसिस, नल हाइपोथेसिस और अल्टरनेट हाइपोथेसिस. दो हाइपोथेसिस क्यों दी जाते चला दे? इसीलिए ना हमारा कोई स्टैंस जो है वो एक्सप्रेस ना, बट बाय हार्ट्स ऑफ हार्ट. बेबी मुझे मालूम हो सकता है कि ये मुझे अच्छा लगता है और यही होगा, यही रिजल्ट आएगा, और ऐसा कहने की अनुमति नहीं. तो ठीक है, तो आपका वो तो मैंने मान लिया कि दैट यू हैड सर्टेन पर्सनल ऑब्जर्वेशंस, बट व्हाट वाज द लिटरेचर सपोर्ट फॉर दैट, दैट यू शुड मूव इन फॉर माइक्रो मैनेजमेंट? Because nowhere you have proposed an operational definition for micromanagement leadership. आप ऐसे उस पर आपने शुरुआत, आपने प्रपोज नहीं की, मैंने आपकी बात की. Nowhere you have proposed. ये किसने की है? देख लीजिए, मेरियम वेबस्टर डिक्शनरी ने की है, चैम्बर्स ने की है, राइट ने की है, नम्रता ने कहा. मैं ये पूछूं, रिसर्चर को अपनी ऑपरेशनल डेफिनेशन लेके चलना पड़ेगा. व्हाट डू आई अंडरस्टैंड बाय माइक्रो मैनेजमेंट लीडरशिप? क्योंकि अगर रिसर्चर अपनी ही परिभाषा मतलब उसीलिए उसको ऑपरेशनल डेफिनेशन कहा जाता है. फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ डूइंग माय रिसर्च, हाउ डू आई अंडरस्टैंड माइक्रो मैनेजमेंट लीडरशिप? अब आपसे यही प्रश्न पूछता. परिभाषा शब्द का मतलब भावार्थ लीजिए, बस शब्दार्थ मत लीजिए. आपसे कोई परिभाषा नहीं पूछ रहा हूं, मैं ये पूछ रहा हूं कि हाउ डू यू कंसेप्चुअलाइज माइक्रो मैनेजमेंट लीडरशिप? हाउ डू यू अंडरस्टैंड कंट्रोलिंग देम?
Sometimes positive, sometimes negative.
कंट्रोलिंग होता क्या है?
Telling you to do the work as they want
No,
and not letting you do your.
कंट्रोलिंग इज नॉट दैट. जहां तक मुझे मालूम है, मैं आपको बताऊंगा अभी कंट्रोलिंग क्या होता है.
Not letting you do the work.
No, absolutely not. You are a teacher in management. तो ये गलती सबसे हो सकती है, हमसे भी हो सकती है, आपसे भी हो सकती है. It's fine. वो कोई इशू नहीं है. But we should be conceptually clear. Controlling means meeting the standards or inability to meet the standards. जो भी स्टैंडर्ड है, जो भी मानक है और जो एक्चुअल परफॉर्मेंस है, उसके बीच के गैप को खत्म करना है कंट्रोलिंग. बस यही है कंट्रोलिंग. कोई बात नहीं, आपने मतलब व्यवहारिक भाषा में आपने जैसे इसको कंट्रोल कर लिया, आपने शुरू में बोला, आई अंडरस्टैंड. So how do you now understand micromanagement leadership? You say supervision. Is supervision leadership? Is controlling leadership?
Supervision, minutely supervising and guiding at every step of work.
क्योंकि सबसे बड़ी समस्या तो ये leadership till date has not been defined. Or is it leadership की परिभाषा आ चुकी है क्या? तो ये आपसे पूछे लीडरशिप है क्या, तब आप कैसे बताएं? हाँ, ये तो आपने बता दिया, अच्छी बात है. पर टिल डेट अभी लोग उस पर एग्री नहीं किए, आज की तारीख तक. इसीलिए मैंने कहा कि ये आपको तो सबसे पहले ऑपरेशन डेफिनेशन आपने क्यों नहीं दी, और दूसरा इसमें तो आपने ठीक प्रेजेंट किया है, आपके थीसिस में चेक करिएगा रिसर्च क्वेश्चंस और रिसर्च ऑब्जेक्टिव्स कौन पहले आता है,
So that we had discussion since it was
यदि कौन पहले आता है मैं आपसे पूछा, लेकिन थीसिस में क्या लिखा है, तो आपकी या तो सिनॉप्सिस भी उल्टा लिखा है, सिनॉप्सिस है, देखिए सिनॉप्सिस, होप आई एम नॉट ट्रबलिंग यू, नहीं ठीक है जस्ट प्लीज, देखिए आप खुद ही चेक करें, आप यू इससे पहले होगा शायद, टीचर से पहले बात नहीं, पहले
research questions here in the synopsis.
और दिखते पहले है क्वेश्चंस बाद में,
Synopsis.
that was I feel that you realize it's a blunder. No. Yes. ये blunder है या नहीं है? And feel free to respond. Don't hesitate, beta. Don't hesitate. If I am wrong, say that I am wrong. I will not feel offended.
Yes, sir.
ये गलत है या नहीं है? इसको बताइए. उधर मत देखिए, फिर मैं आपसे प्रश्न पूछूंगा, वो रिस्पॉन्ड थोड़ी ना करेंगे. यू विल हैव टू रिस्पॉन्ड. ये सही है गलत है? ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? हमने कह दिया तो गलत हो गया. नहीं बेटा ऐसा नहीं. अच्छा क्यों गलत है ये बताइए. क्वेश्चन और ऑब्जेक्टिव्स में कैसे फर्क किया आपने?
Question is what we want to answer and it's coming in from the problems for the research gap. And from there, what are the objectives which should be working on?
Or objectives. Are the objectives the same questions?
Coming like they are deriving from.
Of course, objectives flow from the questions. This is what you wish to say. Objectives जो है वो क्वेश्चन से ही फ्लो करते हैं, यही कहना चाहती है ना आप? ऐसा तो नहीं कहना चाहते कि क्वेश्चंस कोई आपने नाम बदल के ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ग्रुप में लिख दिया है. श्योर हुआ वही है.
Like what questions were there which we wanted. And from there, what objectives we are going to work on.
नहीं वो आप सही कह रहे हैं, बिल्कुल ठीक बोल रहे हैं. ऑब्जेक्टिव्स और क्वेश्चंस इसीलिए रखे जाते हैं बेटा कि डिड यू नो अबाउट मी, मेरे बारे में जानती थी आप? तो आपके मन में प्रश्न आए होंगे कुछ, ऑब्वियसली आपके मन में प्रश्न आए होंगे, ये कैसे है और ये किस प्रकार से पूछते हैं.
Yes.
तब फिर आपने काम अपनी प्रिपरेशन करना स्टार्ट किया होगा. तो ऐसे से प्रिपेयर करो, ऐसे से प्रिपेयर करो, ऐसे से प्रिपेयर करो. सो दैट बिकम्स योर ऑब्जेक्टिव, बट दैट वाज प्रीसीडेड बाय द क्वेश्चंस दैट हैड क्राफ्टेड योर माइंड. क्वेश्चंस दिमाग में क्यों आए?
Because I have to do the presentation and understand.
So you had a problem. What is the problem you have? That was my first question. Problem क्या थी?
problem that is happening in the
यहाँ
organization.
लिखा है प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट है
Like,
घबराइए नहीं आप यू हैव टू डिफेंड योर वर्क
yes, I can say that.
आप बोलिए
Yes, sir, like that it is happening and still people
नहीं प्रॉब्लम मतलब यहाँ पर दिखाया आपने मैं ये पूछ रहा हूँ
So from this, like
प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट है
yeah,
थीसिस में है उधर में देखिए हमको देखिए
motivation of the study.
नहीं बेटा प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट भी रखिए अगर संभव है तो रखिए उसको इसमें दिया है मोटिवेशन फॉर स्टडी दिया मोटिवेशन मतलब हमको कहां से इस तरफ जाने की यू मे हैव अ चेयर ऐसा नहीं बैठी बैठी
It's okay, sir. I'm asking.
मोटिवेशन का मतलब हम उस तरफ क्यों चल पड़े और उस तरफ हो क्या रहा था दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट और हम उस तरफ क्यों चल पड़े वाज द मोटिवेशन तो प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट शुड हैव बीन मेंशन्ड क्योंकि आपने आखिरी में सुझाव दिए
Yes,
रिकमेंडेशन दिए
yes, yes.
सपोज करिए मेरी तबीयत खराब हो गई तो मैं डॉक्टर के पास जाऊंगा सो द डॉक्टर वुड प्रिस्क्राइब मेडिसिन कि आप ये खाइए क्या कभी ऐसे सुना है आपने मेरी तबीयत ही नहीं खराब हुई और डॉक्टर स्टार्ट्स प्रिस्क्राइबिंग मेडिसिन ऐसा कभी सुना है सो यू आर गिविंग द प्रिस्क्रिप्शंस without the problem. That was the point I was wishing to convey. आपने एक्सप्लोरेटरी स्टडी की है बेटा क्यों की एक्सप्लोरेटरी स्टडी
So in order to explore the components.
ये क्या बात एक्सप्लोरेटरी इज टू एक्सप्लोर एंड डिस्क्रिप्टिव इज टू डिस्क्राइब ऐसा
Exploratory research is being done. That's what mainly the components, as sir also has mentioned, that factors or components are not much explored and they need to be found out, understand. Like,
आपने देखिए लिखा हुआ है सेकंड पॉइंट पढ़िए
were not much validated.
नॉट मच वैलिडेटेड मतलब वैलिडेशन या तो होगा और या फिर नहीं होगा बहुत ज्यादा वैलिडेट नहीं हुआ ये कौन सी
They were not done in that much, like till EFA they have done, not done this EFA and reliability.
Okay. अच्छा ठीक so that means the components of the leadership micromanagement leadership were known तब exploratory study करने की क्या जरूरत
Because they have explored only the 4 factors and I have explored more of these constructs from the literature. So that was an exploration.
लिटरेचर से आपने एक्सप्लोर किया है तो दैट इज द लिटरेचर तो प्रेजेंट था वो
From the not like established where somewhere it how can it be related to micromanagement in that way it was being explored how it could be brought up as a component of micromanagement.
मतलब माइक्रोमैनेजमेंट की लीडरशिप माइक्रोमैनेजमेंट के लिटरेचर में वो नहीं था
No, sir. Through various theory, various and how we can have a linkage to the study what we what I find for micromanagement.
माइक्रोमैनेजमेंट की जो लीडरशिप का जो कंपोनेंट्स थे वो कौन कौन से
The detailing process,
हाँ
delegation, decision making, autonomy, close supervision, meeting and report.
माइक्रोमैनेजमेंट लीडरशिप के जो से लिटरेचर से जो कंपोनेंट्स आपने डिराइव किए वो कौन से ये
So that was mainly delegation process and close supervision and autonomy and one more was their delegation. So it was not like much clubbed together into one of the components. They had done only 4 components and thereafter meeting and reporting and this one decision making had been brought up. So it was not fully brought up as a component which was derived. Few of the components were taken. Exploratory factor analysis was done and that CFA was not done. Few of the components I got through the literature from the various readings how it could be clubbed to micromanagement and that's how I have written.
हाँ तो वो आपने लिटरेचर में दिखाया है सर रिव्यू में
So here it's not much presentation, but here I have done in this way. This way.
एक आपने टेबल बनाया था, है ना? वो टेबल शायद इसमें नहीं है.
इसमें नहीं है.
Recall that.
For every factor, for every component, I have gone to the sub, like how I have got that.
हाँ, मुझे याद है. Very good. Very good. अच्छा, come to your model. Now, delegation and autonomy, how do you differentiate?
The delegation means they are liking to do they are giving the work to their subordinates. They are doing the work by themselves. They're not delegating, they're not giving the work. And autonomy is more of giving the power to their employees or to their subordinates, or they're giving them the right to be more creative, to be more showing their potential. So it's more of linking to power, and delegation is more of giving an authority or telling the work or doing, guiding them or delegating them. So there is there is a difference. Delegation is like to take the work by himself or herself, direct the subordinate to do the work in that way. And autonomy means not allowing.
ये आप किसके perspective से बोल रही हैं?
So ये all are coming from employees, subordinates.
So if the employee is receiving the work, it is delegation.
So delegation means the leaders are not giving the work to their.
नहीं बेटा, आप employee की perspective से बोल रही है ना? So if the employee is receiving the work from his superiors,
in delegation, it means they like to do work by themselves only. They don't want, they have a lack of trust issues. They don't give the work.
who doesn't give the
Leaders.
बेटा आप employee की perspective से बोल रही है, employer की या leader की perspective से?
Saying that employees are, these are the all things which have been taken from the employee's perspective. That whether the leader give you the work, whether the leader assigns you the work.
Ah, yes. If the work is assigned, that means delegation is there.
Yes.
And if the work is not assigned,
Delegation is not there. Everything that you himself.
autonomy. If the employee is able to work,
It's micromanagement.
okay. ठीक है. Now, where are the references?
References are everywhere here.
ये list of references नहीं बनाया.
List of references are not added in this.
वो ऐड करना चाहिए, हमेशा ऐड करिए. आप अभी आप भी गाइड करिएगा करना चाहिए. So bibliography और reference में क्या फर्क है?
So bibliography is like for the references where we are citing the names.
You will not be given the degree. You will not be given the degree till you answer this question. दो अलग अलग शब्द है ना?
Bibliography is the entire list of references.
Good.
Is this references are like bibliography is entire summary.
Bibliography is an exhaustive list, which you have referred or which you may not have referred and mentioned in your thesis. जिसका उल्लेख किया हो या उल्लेख न किया पर कंसल्ट किया था.
Yes.
वो बिब्लियोग्राफी. और जिसका उल्लेख आपने कर दिया है यही फल. ठीक. So it's a nice work you have done. If I am allowed,
Sir, so final words.
so you are through from my side. God bless you. You've done a good one.
And
आपने बड़ा नीटली काम किया है, ये अप्रिसिएशन तुम्हें आपको पहले से करना, और प्रेजेंटेशन भी आपका नीट था।
thank you, sir. Whatever your comments are there, I will definitely incorporate.
हाँ करिए, ये छोटी छोटी चीजें आप अच्छा कर सकते हैं, कैन डू, मतलब यू कैन परफॉर्म वेरी वेल। आई थिंक
So your
आप बहुत अच्छा कर सकते हैं, आपने किया नहीं है। अब हो सकता है आप भी कुछ परिस्थितियां होंगी।
very good to like listen from you. Heard a lot about you and it was very mesmerizing.
नहीं, मुझे लगा कि जैसे आपने मीडिएटिंग मॉडरेटिंग गायब कर दिया।
So there was like
और सर ने बड़ा अच्छा बात बोली थी, अदर एग्जाम्पल भी बड़ा अच्छा बोला था कि देखिए आपने जो है सिचुएशंस को इग्नोर कर दिया, और आप खुद ही कह रही हैं कि ये सिचुएशन का काम है। आपने एक जगह मेंशन किया है बेटा दैट इट इज अ सिचुएशनल कंसेप्ट, खुद ही बोला है आपने, और आपने अपने मॉडल में से सिचुएशन को ही गायब कर दिया, और अपने लिमिटेशन में इस बात को आपने बोला है कि आगे वाले काम में हम सिचुएशंस को डालेंगे, जैसे ओसी का कंसेप्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल कल्चर का है, और क्या क्या है, पर्सनैलिटी है, एटीट्यूड्स है, इन सबको आप डालेंगे। तो बात भी थी अभी डालना चाहिए था।
this itself was like yeah.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, ऐसा नहीं, ये आपका यही वाला काम था। ये आपका अच्छा काम किया बेटा, आप पढ़िए और पढ़िए, आप और अच्छा करिएगा। गॉड ब्लेस यू।
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Sir, can we hear from Srivastava sir on the same, sir? The final words from you as well, sir.
Yeah, I think it was a very good presentation, and yeah, of course, PhD is the start of the journey, right? And we all have limitations in any work. So I think she would learn from these experiences that she has gone through in her PhD work. And whenever she will take up the new assignment, I think she would try to improve upon this. There are few things that the other examiner has mentioned, Professor Bajpayee. I think that was very good, and you have to have a very basic understanding of these things to proceed with, right? It is a very specific work. Somewhere in your thesis you have talked about what is research methodology and these kind of things. That is not required to be. You be specific. You talk about only those things which is required, which is relevant. Don't draw conclusions based on what you have not done, which does not support data, which is not supported by the data. Overall, good work. So I congratulate Namarata for carrying out a good work in the thesis, and I think Dr. Bajpayee would agree with me.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Now the floor is open for questions from the faculty and other participants as well. The VIVA was.
Thank you so much for giving us a very good information about that. I have two questions. One is how learning written depends on your levels of KSA, knowledge, skills, attitude, and abilities. Levels of knowledge, skills, attitude, operation. In the industry, every level, people do not know about the nitty-gritties of their work. They read somebody interesting. Yes, yes, so it is led or connected with the levels of KSA of the.
Yes, ma'am, that's what also.
Yeah, I think that is what you can talk about. So this situation of your yes. Okay, depends on the motivation, depends on the knowledge of the skills and attitude finally. Second question is, you mentioned about one article publication. About emotional intelligence. What do you want to say? If your score on emotional intelligence is high, do you believe that then always level micromanagement will be high or low?
Yes, now that was basically a conceptual study wherein emotional intelligence, if it is there, then the effect would be little less. So that's a
Tolerance level will be less. And third one is, your personal level, what is your, you like micromanagement or development?
now I talk on my personal level, then yes, as what you said initially, sometimes when we are not knowing the work, that time a micromanagement can be helpful. But after a course of time, it might not. So somewhere at that point of time, it can help the performance. And also, it depends again on the employee.
Second one, people say your sitting like that. Yes.
Yes. Namarata, first of all, hearty congratulations to you. Really, you have worked very hard for your thesis. हम बहुत अच्छा किया है. We'll move to sir once again. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Sir, last word to my end as a supervisor, sir. Thank you very much, Srivastava sir, for that complete support what you are giving for the past number of years, especially by Mr. Jharkhand. Also, I'm highly grateful to Ashish Bajpai sir. Like right from my date of joining, like I'm just listening to sir at various occasions. In fact, we met in one of the workshops also, and the sir's inputs are like mind blowing. And by that way, like we're trying to implement with all the scholars of our university as well, like giving them as guidelines or things to be taught by writing in a thesis. So thank you very much for both of you, sir. Apart from that, congratulations with Namarata, like now will be formally called as Dr. once support with academic research. So based on the words of the examiners, we would like to congratulate you on that line.
Thank you.
Sir, there are certain questions
Yeah.
which
Congratulate Namarata
Thank you so much, sir.
and all the best for your future endeavors.
yes. Sir, we have so much of work to be done on this topic. Definitely, one question was on the components and factors. In fact, while starting this work in 2018, what has happened is like there were hardly studies that were noted in the literature, and I can say like most of them were blocks.
Yeah,
We
that is
found-
what that is what I have pointed out, that components of micromanagement and factors affecting management are two different things.
Yes,
So,
yes,
and the model you show that, okay, this leads to micromanagement. No, factors are different.
yes,
Okay,
sir.
please take care of it. Please take care. Thank you.
And we'll work on that, sir, and definitely there will be communication from our end with her, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm leaving now. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Namarata, Ji, are you planning to publish your thesis in some book or something like that?
Paper we are writing.
Paper you are writing, but are you trying to publish a book based upon your thesis? Reason why I'm asking you this question, because I have not gone through the thesis, but in the synopsis there are certain grammatical errors are very much like the factors of micromanagement previously were adopted. I think this is in a hurry it was being done from your synopsis presentation. I mean somewhat similar to that. Is it? Now, my second advice to you, you have mentioned regarding, you have used stratified random sampling, but in your presentation, you have mentioned regarding that you have used the snowball sampling as well. Exactly, I agree. So it is, it is not a crime to mention the same in your synopsis and is it a mention in the thesis that says use the snowballs? Okay, I'm referring to this